I'm Jesse McAnally.
And I'm Andrew DeWolf.
And welcome to Musicals with Cheese, a podcast trying to get Andrew to like musical theater. How are you doing today, Andrew?
We fired Bree. She's gone forever.
No. Most of our patrons know that we record these in like one session, so if Bree's not in one, she's not in both. She'll be back next week.
Yeah, but do all of our fans know that?
They'll find out about it. So she'll be back next week. But you know what? You know why Bree isn't here? You know what? I think we should just lay the cards on the table.
Yeah, we should just tell him. She stuck her tongue to a pole, and it was very cold. And honestly, she's in the hospital. They had to remove her tongue. They're going to give her a prosthetic, but that's just kind of what happened.
And you know what happened like 3 days after her tongue healed? Because that's not the reason why she's here. Like, it was her birthday. She got her brand new Red Ryder BB gun. She took it outside, and she immediately shot her eye out.
Actually, what I heard is that an icicle actually fell on her, and she wasn't able to move out of the way.
She shot her eye out, Andrew.
I heard that an icicle fell on her, and she wasn't able to move out of the way in time.
This week, we're talking about A Christmas Story, the musical. Cue the music, Bree.
Seems like your big dreams ought to be left on the shelf. Why aim for the sky? If you're not careful, kid, you'll shoot yourself. I hate to spoil the fun with you'll shoot your eye out. But hun, start kissing that gun goodbye. Well, shoot, it's cute that you desire it, but the moment that you fire it, you'll shoot your eye out.
Why is this a musical? Wasn't the movie enough?
A Christmas Story the Musical is a musical with music and lyrics by Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, with a book by Joseph Robinette, based on the 1985 film A Christmas Story by Bob Clark and Gene Shepard. It premiered on Broadway on November 19th of 2012 for a limited run and closed on December 30th of 2012. It was nominated for 3 Tony Awards and 1 none. The plot is, this classic holiday tale centers on a mischievous, bespectacled old boy, Ralphie, who dreams of getting a BB gun for Christmas. In the weeks before the big holiday, Ralphie, his friends, and his family get into all kind of shenanigans, including run-ins with a bully with yellow eyes, a tongue stuck to a flagpole, a bar of soap in his mouth, a garish leg lamp, a major award, and a Chinese Christmas dinner. I don't like that because the major award is the leg lamp. Like those two are the same.
They're trying to diminish the quality of his major award by not telling you what it is.
Right.
Which honestly, everyone in the show is doing that as well. I mean, he won a major award, and his wife doesn't even seem to care.
Yeah, she breaks it. In fact,
she breaks it, which is honestly despicable.
She breaks the symbol of his hubris. She might as well have broke his dick off.
Honestly, that's basically what the show is about. It's a show about demasculation.
It's about a little boy that wants a gun so badly.
Honestly, though, Christmas Story, if you haven't seen this movie, where have you been?
All right, Andrew, what is your history with the Christmas Story movie that this is based on?
I have seen it probably 20 times at this point. I've watched it maybe, and I don't love it. It's just this thing airs so much during Christmas time. It's like you cannot go an entire holiday season without watching this movie. Like it's just not possible.
No. But do you know why? Because this wasn't a successful movie when it came out. Do you know?
I honestly, I don't know why. I will say this, I didn't mention, I do like this movie. I think it's actually one of maybe my favorite holiday movie, other than like weird horror holiday movies like Krampus. But I think that this movie has a very cynical and interesting way of looking at the holidays, and I really enjoy it.
It's very satirical, but it also is very sincere in some ways, in a lot of weird ways.
It's sincere, but not in the way that most holiday movies are. Like, it's not sincere like, oh, love saves the day, and
no, nothing like that.
Like, no, it's honestly, it's more sincere like, hey, kids like to get stuff, and, like that.
I mean, the thing is, this also kind of is a love letter to capitalism, the movie.
I don't know if I agree with that, but sure.
Because what is the first thing we see when the movie opens? We see toys, and a lot of them, and a lot of corporate sponsorship and shit.
See, but the way I look at it, though, is that's a lot of it is satirical. Like the mall Santa, who if you're arguing like this is about how capitalism is great, the mall Santa is like the symbol of it. He's like embodied, but he's like a nightmare, and he kicks the kid down the slide. You know, like I don't know if it's necessarily saying that all this stuff is a good thing. It's just saying that like, hey, this is how it is.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, everyone in this film, except maybe the mom, worships material shit.
Yes, but none of it is shown in a positive light.
It's not shown in a negative light either.
Yeah.
The last shot of the film is Ralphie sleeping in bed with a gun.
Yeah, which is satirical, if anything. It's like, hey, he got what he wanted, and what he wanted was a gun, and now he's laying in bed with a gun.
Mission accomplished.
I don't know. I don't necessarily think that this is like a love letter to Christmas corporate culture.
It has become that then, with like all the Christmas Story 2s, the Christmas Story Live, and the Christmas Story lamps that you can buy, the Christmas Story house where you can buy all the materials that you've seen in the Christmas Story movie.
Yes, but that is just a product of existing in capitalism. I mean, Parasite is being sold as a product, and they're making money off of that. But obviously, if you watch that movie, it is anything but a love letter to capitalism. You know?
Yeah. That should be a musical. Parasite would be a good musical.
Actually, yes. That was a really good movie, by the way. I don't know
Parasite.
Have we ever talked about it? Really fucking good movie.
We briefly mentioned it, but Parasite's good. Would you believe it? It won Best Picture. It might be a good movie.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, not every movie that wins Best Picture is good, but...
La La Land won it for a couple minutes.
Yeah, that's true. La La Land wasn't that bad, but I don't know if it's Best Picture worthy.
No, I like Moonlight better. But I want to talk about why this movie became such a mainstay for like Christmas. Because it came out, it flopped. It was badly reviewed, badly received, flop.
Okay.
But it was one of the few films made by MGM that had a Christmas tie to it. So when Ted Turner of Turner Broadcasting created the TBS network, around the holidays, he only had one movie to air. So he aired it every night and then aired it for 24 hours over Christmas Eve to Christmas Eve from 8 p.m. to Christmas Day at 8 p.m.
So literally, it became, people watched it so many times that they're like, yes, this movie is good.
Exactly. It was literally through like the mainstay of like what television rights this guy owned and was able to put on his TV station. That is the only reason why we know about this film.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's a pretty good movie. And I don't think that's just because I've seen it so many times. But, you know, I could be wrong. I don't think it's like amazing. It's like, it's got something to it. There's some elements that I like.
Any film that makes you feel uncomfortable to watch as a kid, but makes you feel different when you're an adult, there's something there. But yeah. But does it adapt to a musical, Andrew?
I always love to bring up that maybe I'm wrong on this. I'm pretty certain though. This is directed by the same guy that made Black Christmas.
Bob Clark.
Yep. So he's made 2 Christmas movies.
Yeah, and they're both equally good. I really like Black Christmas too.
Yeah, and they honestly, I think some people might be surprised to hear that, but honestly, if you think about that, like, hey, this guy made a slasher movie about Christmas. I feel like the tone of it is not that far off.
No, that film, A Christmas Story feels dark, and I don't know what exactly feels dark about. Like, the fantasies feel strangely violent and masochistic.
They are. His fantasy is to have a gun, and like, you know, it's like.
Speaking of which, hold on, we gotta pause. Andrew, you let the Christmas in. Do you hear it? Oh my God, this is a Christmas episode. Oh my God, Christmas is all around us. Ah.
Oh my God. Christmas music is literally just the Jingle Bells. You can play any chords in any kind of music and just put Jingle Bells and it's a Christmas song.
Simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
So that's not a Christmas song, because there's no Jingle Bells.
There is. The party's not.
Add it in. Can we play Jingle Bells throughout the whole episode here? Just add it in. Add it in post. Bree, where are you?
Bree, don't do that.
Bree,
Just play
add
right during
Jingle
that
Bells.
part. Bree, stop. Don't listen to him. I pay you,
Jingle
not
Bells.
him.
Add Jingle Bells.
I pay you, not him. So, does this adapt well into a musical, Andrew?
No.
Question mark?
It's like almost. It's almost yes, but I'm gonna say no.
All right. I think it's worth mentioning that we need to talk about who wrote this musical.
Oh yes, I do know who it is now, but I'll act surprised. Ready?
Okay. So we've covered a good majority of their music. We've covered almost all except one or two of their shows. And it is Benj Pasek and Justin Paul who did Dear Evan Hansen, Dogfight, and a bunch of other ones. But those are the two big ones.
These are both shows that we loved.
And The Greatest Showman is another big one. We haven't covered that one yet, but we
will have to cover that soon.
Oh, and La La Land. They did the lyrics for La La Land. So it's weird. This is not the same style that I'm used to hearing from them. This is very pastiche to old 50s music. Yeah,
it's like they're trying to make it seem like it's a classic musical.
Yeah.
Maybe has something to do with the fact that it's a Christmas show, and people like to think of Christmas stuff as timeless, and I think the word timeless right now just means 1950s.
But the thing is, because they're aiming for that style, I think this is my favorite score by them.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't know it was by them. I'm not surprised, like, when you told me that it was them, but it would not have been my first guess, not at all.
No. But I don't think they do a bad job, and they were, like, really young. They had to have been right out of college to, like, right after this to get, like, such a high-profile job like this.
You know what kind of got me with the music a little bit? That they had fantasy sequences, but they didn't really change the music at all. And I kind of wish they had.
Sometimes they did. Like the Ralphie to the Rescue, like, sounds like a cowboy song.
I would have liked more of like a open west feel for that one, honestly. Right. It's fine. All right. Do we need to go over the plot? I think we...
I'd like Andrew's description of what happens in this musical, to be honest.
All right. I'm going to try to describe the musical version because the movie is a bit different. Though, honestly, I'll probably end up describing it in a way that just fits both of them. Let's see. The story is about Ralphie, who is also the narrator, but he's narrating from the future. He's telling it as if he is telling the audience like a story from his past, like, oh, this is my Christmas story, right?
Yeah. Sometimes he's Matthew Broderick.
Sometimes, not always though, and not the one I saw. So I don't care.
Did you watch the clip of Matthew Broderick doing it?
I did, and no, we're not going to talk about that.
Fair. It's a bad. Bree, play a clip.
Oh, but how could I put it away? I was looking at a 3-color full-page advertisement for the greatest gift a boy could ever hunger for, and time was running out.
We don't need the deer in headlights for this one. All right. Ralphie wants a BB gun for Christmas, and that's it. And then a bunch of misadventures happen. It's honestly less of a story as much of it is like a bunch of vignettes that kind of link together. So you have the bullies on the streets that they have to deal with. You have him writing a essay for class about how he wants a BB gun. You have him swearing accidentally and being punished for it, and
abused for it.
Child abused for it. I'll get into that. I'll defend that. That's child abuse. And then, of course, at the end, you have him getting the gun,
shooting his eye out, breaking his glasses.
Yes,
racism, and then the show wraps up.
Yes, I can't remember. Is the racism in the movie as well? I feel like it probably is, but I can't remember.
Of course it is.
I honestly, after he gets the gun, I kind of zone out and just kind of...
That's the reason why you stay after the gun is for the or like that horrible shit.
Oh, the fa-ra-ra-ra-ra.
You need to be reminded that that shit happened in the 80s and we let that shit happen.
Dude, the 80s were awful. Like, racism and
just
homophobia.
Open sexual assaults. Like, remember Revenge of the Nerds where it's like they literally just attack naked women and it's okay because they're nerds?
I was just watching some like videos or something on YouTube, and somebody showed a clip of Ronald Reagan's press secretary talking about the AIDS crisis, and he was like asked a question, and his response was to mock the journalist by asking if he has AIDS, and it's like I'm just reminded of man, nothing has changed.
Yeah, nothing really has changed is the thing. What, you got corona? Oh, I see you want to be politically correct.
Yeah, it's like, my God.
And
anybody who says Ronald Reagan was a great president, like, wow.
He's a dumb piece of shit.
You should look up some of the stuff he did.
Oh yeah, trickle-down economics is a horrible thing. The AIDS crisis, yeah, he basically fucked up everything he tried.
Yeah. Okay, but other than that...
But he acted with a monkey when he was a Hollywood star, so really, who's the villain?
Now that's progressive.
So thank you for your wonderful summation of what this story is about. I think that's act. So I don't know what it is about this musical adaptation, but it gets me. I kind of love it.
I really like the movie better. I think it's more succinct.
The movie is so much better, but I think I like this.
Okay, major problem I have with this show. Okay, and I think this is something that happens in a lot of adaptations of older properties. I feel like it's heavily influenced by what is popular in the, like,
zeitgeist of the world.
Zeitgeist, yeah.
The Darth Vader problem. Like, because we like Darth Vader, suddenly Darth Vader becomes important.
Yeah, we like Darth Vader. Darth Vader is now literally Jesus in Star Wars, you know? It's like, okay, that wasn't really how it came off originally, but yes. And then now you have this, and it's like, okay, you go in a store and you talk about Christmas Story, what is everyone going to bring up? That freaking leg lamp, right?
Either that or You'll Shoot Your Eye Out. Those are the two things.
Yeah. The leg lamp in the movie is like a recurring gag, but it's not like a major plot point, I wouldn't say.
It's a major award, though.
Yeah, it's a major award, of course, and I'm not going to take that away from the old man. But like, it's like a short gag that you see in quick bursts, and that's about it. You know, and it's funny, and then it breaks, and he's sad about it, and it's funny. And then the gag's over. That's it. It's done, you know? In this musical, there is like a 10-minute long dance sequence with like 100 leg lamps, and they do a kick
leg
line.
Lamp kink line.
It's like in the movie, it was like he gets a box, he opens it, and he's like, wow, and he's first he's like looks upset, and then he's like, I'm gonna show it off because it's a major award, and then that's it. But it's not like a 12-minute dance sequence with a major song, and like I'm surprised it's not the. Actually, is it the Act 1 finale? It's very close to the Act 1 finale, actually.
I mean, it kind of has to be, doesn't it?
Well, it doesn't, though. Like, just because it's popular in the zeitgeist doesn't mean that it needs to be the focus. Like, I think it would have been funnier if it was just like it was in the movie. It's just a little gag, you know?
I mean, I agree, but let's think about this as every film adaptation of, or stage adaptation of a famous movie. Every single big plot point becomes a song. That's even really true for, like, Beetlejuice, where you can't not have the Deo scene, and if we have the Deo scene, we need to make it bigger than it was in the movie.
Yeah.
Same applies. I get why they did it. That doesn't mean I like it. I do like the song, which is like, I got a major award. I like the way it sounds, and I don't mind the song being it. I hate the staging. I hate how big it is more the problem.
There's too much. It's like, okay, Because you have the sequence where he first gets it and he's singing "I have a major award," and then he goes outside and he's talking to people and showing him at the window, "I have a major award," and then it gets to like a fantastical sequence where he's doing a dance number and he does a kick line and he has a major award, and then after the kick line it keeps going. It's still going.
You see, Andrew. You see, when we started this podcast. You love the cheese. You love
the cheese.
It will get. I remember one time we were talking about Wicked. You were just so excited that there was going to be a dance, and like when you got to the dance, you were so excited and you didn't want it to end. I do like the dance.
I do like the dance, but like the kick line is funny. Maybe skip the part where he goes outside and he talks to people and is like, "Okay, here's the window." Just go from him. We have an ensemble,
Andrew. We have an ensemble. They need to do something.
Have him put it in the window, and then it gets fantastical, and he does the kick line because the kick line is funny. That's a good gag, and then end the song. Do those two things, and then end. Like you don't need to have it go for so fucking long. They bring out like miniature versions of the leg lamp. Like, how much of this do we need? It's like they're just trying to sell merchandise.
Okay. So Act 1 ends with basically the fudge scene, right?
Yeah.
That's a weird way to end the first act for one.
Well, how do you end the first act, though? Because, like, the movie is not at all set up to be in an two-act structure.
Not at all, but most movies aren't, in all fairness.
To be honest, I think this would have been better as a one act and set it up as more vignettes like they do in the movie, but they probably don't want to do that because people are going to pay for a 2.5 hour long show and they want to see that. So
why don't they end on a big musical number? Why didn't they end on the major award and then start with the fudge scene? I guess because they wanted the Christmas tree. I think it might have been because they wanted to end it with something having to do with Ralphie and not something that the father's the only one doing. Maybe. And they also restructured the entire plot line. Like, as you pointed out, they cut out the entire Little Orphan Annie sequence.
Yep, which I actually like that sequence. I think the Ovaltine gag is funny.
Yeah, that's the loss of childhood innocence if we ever heard it. Which,
by the way, that is a bit of an anti-capitalist message, by the way.
You're right. When you're right, you're right. Then we also have the sticky situation where Flick gets is it Schwartz or Flick that gets his tongue stick onto the pole?
I honestly don't know, either from the show or from the movie.
Flick,
I honestly have no idea.
It's Flick. That happens relatively early in the movie, and then they move it to the start of the second act for the musical.
It's like the Act 2 opener, right?
What was that?
Is it the Act 2 opener, or am I thinking of something else?
Sticky situation at the Act 2 opener that then fades into the "You'll Shoot Your Eye Out" song and dance number. Because he goes in after Flick gets his tongue ripped off. Like, they literally flip him off that pole, too. Like, it's an event. And then he goes inside, and then they go into, "Oh, I got my theme back," and "Oh, you'll shoot your eye out." So they move that to be much later into the show because they want it to be Act 2. It's not as noticeable or as jarring as like Frozen, where they like add a bunch of shit to the front of Frozen to try to make Let It Go be the Act 1 closer. Yeah. But it is noticeable and does kind of ruin the very, very tight structure that the movie has. Yeah.
And I think it's maybe another thing where they wanted to make people sit through to Act 2 to see that scene. Because I know the tongue getting stuck to the pole scene is another kind of famous
I guess. Maybe there isn't any
section.
Big things in the last third or second half of this story.
Really, the ending of the movie, the only things that really happen are the bunny suit.
Yeah, that's iconic too.
Do they have him put the bunny suit on?
Yeah, they do. Very briefly.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. But that's like a big thing. And then him getting the gun, of course, and shooting his eye out.
Yeah, and then the racism.
Yeah, which honestly, I don't think that's a major thing, because I don't even remember that part.
I will say one thing about the Fox Live production. They go to get the Chinese dinner, And they bring out the guys to sing, and they're like an actual a cappella group, and they're like, "Deck the halls," and it sounds beautiful. And the dad's like, "That wasn't what I expected." And they're like, "What did you expect?" And he's like, "I don't know." And that was the
actually
one time I got a good laugh at.
That actually is a funny gag, because it's like, wait, do you want him to say, like, I expected the racist
I expected
thing?
y'all to be fucking, like, Chinamen. I expected, like, breakfast at Tiffany's here.
Fa ra 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 ra. That's so racist, by the way.
That is
it's
so
very
racist. Like, I feel like that entire scene, like, in and of itself, they go to Chinese restaurant because, you know, everything's closed on Christmas. That's a funny idea. Then you add the racism, and it's like... Is there anything you think the musical did better than the movie? Anything at all?
Honestly, I don't think so.
I got one.
Sure.
1.5. I like the characterization of the mom. They really fleshed her out in a way. While that movie doesn't really need it, and you get a lot from her performance, I do like her 2 songs in this musical quite a bit. Like What a Mother Does, where she's like, I got all these things, and you get like a peek into like how they kind of are like suffering financially, but she's going to try to keep up traditions and all of that, and how she doesn't mind having to never get to sit down to dinner and all that. I really like that song, and I think it's good. Maya Rudolph just destroys that song because she can't sing it in the live production. Like, she's actively terrible. But the song itself is really good. I really, really like the moment where she pulls Ralphie away from the fight. That is not as effective, but I like the moment where she's like, hey, life moves on, and you had a bad day, and you know what? It's over now. I think both those moments are really good and are better than what they have in the movie. That's it. I also like the kid's tap dancing, because that's an actual kid that's tap dancing, and he's really talented. You got 1.5
Wait, I
things.
mean, I guess if you're going to include like dancing stuff, obviously all of the dancing is better in this, because there is no dancing at all in the movie. But
it could have been made better if they had dancing, I'll tell you that.
Maybe. Depends where the dancing was.
But then there's things like, I don't really want to dive into the father's head about why he's so good at crosswords.
It's like, I don't really care.
This is Ralphie's story, and I feel like a one act where you kind of only get like the You'll Shoot Your Eye Out song from the teacher and the sticky situation, where you focus on them, and then you have like those little emotional moments between him and his mom. I don't think we should have any singing when Ralphie isn't on stage, if that makes sense.
You think that it's getting too much into other people, and it kind of ruins the tone that, like, it's his story? Especially when he's literally the narrator and is on stage as the narrator for most of the show.
I like that the narrator interacts a bit. That's kind of a funny gag.
Yeah.
That, like, little things like that make this come alive, I think really work.
I don't think that this is a bad show. I just cannot imagine myself in a place where I would pay to see it.
But would you watch a Fox Live production starring Matthew Broderick and Maya Rudolph?
You had me at Matthew Broderick. In that I would not watch it because Matthew Broderick is in it. And
is there anything that you would watch despite Matthew Broderick?
Probably The Producers.
I mean, that suits him pretty well. You wouldn't go to see Tower Heist because you love Eddie Murphy so much you're willing to stomach Matthew Broderick.
I can't say I love Eddie Murphy that much.
Okay.
What
about Ben Stiller?
Likes to party
all the time, party all the time, party all the time. Oh my gosh. On that note, do you want to go into a mid-show?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, these ads like to party all the time. Let's take a listen. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt you in the middle of the show, but we've got to talk to you about Patreon. Andrew, what's Patreon? And I'll let people know who's supporting us.
Sure. Patreon is where you can go if you'd like to donate to us and help the show keep running. And of course, you get your own perks in return. We have extra content on there. We have a Patreon with Cheese podcast that we run that's on various topics. And I'll let Jess take it from there.
Our current patrons are Melissa Goldman, Terry Needleman, John Donna, Max Lunig, Lily Ackles, Danielle Renix, Jess Stampede, Ewan Cassidy, Task Fire, September, Monica Thoreau, Mina Maniri, Brent Black, Haley Murray, Allison Wonderland, B-Way Flicks, Nathaniel Stacy Coombe, Joseph Evans Green, Carrie Ahern, Irigale Drew A. Whiter, Christine Malmadel, Cole Birchfield, Mary Lou Choquette, John Van Als, Holly Stistically, Russ Walker, Musical Hale, Emily Gracie, Andrew Van Borson, To Blam, Kyle Summers, Jen A.C., Kyle Felice A., Skylar, Liz Lim, Corey Wilmarth, Elson Stellar, Nothing is Certain Except Beth and Taxes, Elizabeth, Thespian, Ren Cullen, Jamie Holland, Wayne the Wings, Lady Malvolia, Spectacle Machine, Jacob Stroop, Robert Benjamin, Rachel, Jessica Tubis, and Billy Hefner. They give us a little extra financial support that helps us keep the lights on here at Musicals with Cheese. If you'd like to join them in supporting us and get tons of fun perks such as Patreon commentaries, our episodes a day earlier, even earlier, and video episodes and a ton of other shit, come join us over at Patreon. All right, Andrew, you ready to get back to it?
We got one more thing to talk about.
Merch, 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 merch.
It's merch time. It's Christmas time, which means it's merch time.
We got a lot of new merch up there. We got the Team Sondheim, Team Lloyd Webber, Team Wildhorn.
Team
those
Wildhorn.
are actually, those have actually sold all right, pretty so far. I think those are pretty cool.
Which team are you on, Jess?
I mean, do you even have to axe Team
So
Sondheim?
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I thought you were on Wildhorn. Me,
I just like.
I'm gonna go on Team Webber just to mess with people because I think he's probably the least popular of those three.
I'd say Wildhorn's the least popular, but I thought you'd pick Webber because you love Joseph so much.
That's actually true. There's no show from Sondheim that is nearly as good as Joseph.
Go to hell. All right, let's get back to the show. What do you think of the opening number? It all comes down to Christmas.
I mean, it's fine.
This year, don't want a book I won't read. This year, I know the thing that I need, and I'm running out of time. To pick these back in the we gotta go. Not a second can we spare, 'cause it all comes down to Christmas.
We're pulling out our hair 'cause it all comes down to Christmas.
We've got one shot, and it's 24 days away. We have to hurry up, 'cause it all comes down to Christmas Day.
This song has been in my head all goddamn week.
Really? This one is stuck in your head?
Yes.
I've been kind of humming a major award a little bit, but
I mean,
don't
that one
think
too, but this one is like the one I keep like coming to because I keep having to restart it for different reasons, and I'm like, da 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 da, 'cause it all comes down to Christmas, da 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 da, 'cause it all comes down to Christmas, da da da. Like I like it a lot, and I'm like, it gives you that Christmassy feeling, and it's one of those rare opening numbers where it has the I Want song stuck in the middle of it, and like it's sandwiched between the I Want song, which goes into the Red Ryder Carbine Action BB gun, which is about as blatant as an I Want song as you can have, and it works.
I mean, this story has a very, very obvious I Want, because that literally is the only thing he wants.
Yeah, he doesn't even want his dad to like love him.
No, which is great. It's so great that the character doesn't want anything else besides
He is a very
a toy.
surface level character, Ralphie Parker.
Ralphie Parker probably is my favorite Christmas hero.
Fuck you, Ebenezer Scrooge. Eat my
Ebenezer.
ass. Quest of the Magi or whatever the fuck. I don't know who stars in that story.
Screw you, Heat Miser and Cold Miser and Santa Claus and Jesus.
And Rudolph and Frost.
Ralphie Parker. Ralphie Parker is my boy.
You know, Jesus could have done a lot more against the Romans if he had a BB gun.
I can just imagine it. Jesus with a Red Ryder Carbine Action BB gun. There's no way he's getting crucied.
He's gonna take down the Romans Empire all by himself by shooting their eye out.
It all comes down to Christmas.
Wait, what is Christmas?
Well, that's when he's born.
Well, do you think they called it that when he was alive? They wait till he was dead to call it Christmas.
I like Xmas.
I like triple Xmas. Let's talk about the Genius on Cleveland Street, which I think is a very pointless number, but I don't know. Maybe Andrew has different opinions.
No,
Andrew.
you're absolutely right.
I'd be the genius on Cleveland Street. The crackerjack that can't be beat. So smart, it's obscene. The genius on Cleveland Street.
And now, Frank Parker, you were about to answer the question, are you a genius?
It doesn't really correspond to anything in the movie either. It's just kind of like...
It does with, like, his crossword that he has that morning, but the joke in this song is, like, very obvious things he isn't able to pick up on, where I thought the joke in the movie was, what is the Lone Ranger's nephew's calf named? And that's, like, such an obscure one, and the mom's like, oh, it's Roger or whatever. He's like, how do you know that? She's like, everyone knows that. And I'm in the audience like, fucking what? Maybe I'm the dumb one, but he's, like, giving, like, who went with Daddy Warbucks? Little Orphan Annie. And he's struggling with that.
I think the other joke is that it's like they do like music theater gags because they do reference Annie. They do Leapin' Lizards, I think.
Yeah, but the thing is, that was also from the movie. Like, Little Orphan Annie was kind of a thing in that.
That's true. They're referencing the thing that they're referencing.
Right. And yeah, it's also a musical, but also... I don't think Ralphie's dad, which also, another thing, I don't like the fact they have names in this. I hate the fact that they gave them names.
Yeah, it's just the old man.
Yeah, his name's Frank in this.
Yeah, he shouldn't have a name.
Yeah.
It's like if you made a Peanuts musical and there's actual adults on stage. Like, that's not okay.
Whoops.
Well, I guess you ruined that one for me.
That's a fun musical. That's a better musical than this.
But you can't have adults on stage. They have to be played by trombones in the
What
orchestra.
if they're adults playing the children? Is that the same?
No, that's not the same. The adults can play the children.
That was where I was like,
that's just bypassing child labor laws.
yes. Annie should learn a thing or two from that. But the Genius on Cleveland Street, I don't like it. It doesn't feel like right for this story.
Okay, of all the plots to cut, you cut out the Ovaltine gag, and then you add in a song like this? Come on, this doesn't even need a song. This could be a two-line gag about a newspaper crossword, and then just move on. You know, like this doesn't.
But that's
need a
how
song.
he gets the major award.
Yeah, but we already have the major award song. He sings it.
I don't mind that song, in and of itself. Let's talk a little bit about Ralphie to the Rescue, because I want to talk about at least one fantasy sequence, and this is like the big thematic one.
Won't you save me, Ralphie? Tell this scoundrel to surrender.
I'll save the day.
Oh, he's got me, Ralphie. I could die in this disaster. Faster!
Hold on, I'm on my way. Ralphie to the rescue. Oh. Ralphie to the rescue. Oh. One thing to do, time to turn to old blue. Now let her go.
I wish this one was more Western. I feel like it could have been better, but I do like this song. It's a bit catchy, and the staging is still fun.
I think the staging is great. I think the kid actors in this show is like head and shoulders above a lot of kid actors we've seen. Like, specifically the range of Ralphie when he's like, Ralphie to the rescue. Oh, it sounds great.
Yeah, no, he does a good job. I think the only thing I would have liked is a little bit more like Western flair, but they may not have had the instruments to do it. I'm not sure.
And I don't think this is really a show designed for theming like that.
No, and it's fine, because really in the movie, these fantasy sequences are pretty short as well.
Yeah, but everything in musicals get elongated to make it 2 hours.
Yep. Which is not always a good thing.
No, it's very rarely a good thing, except for like things like Beetlejuice, which are an anomaly that proves how...
Well, that's because Beetlejuice doesn't follow the movie. Beetlejuice does its own thing.
I wish more musicals would do that, but they don't.
True.
Let's talk about What a Mother Does, because I really like this song.
Sit down to stand up. You're back on your feet. Serve seconds and thirds while you've still got a boy who won't eat.
Oh, geez.
But a mom has her ways. A mom knows her kid. She'll get him to eat without knowing he did. It's just one of her talents. She keeps life in balance amid all the buzz. That's what a mother does.
All right. Well, I don't know if I have a lot to say on this one. Why don't you give your spiel?
What do you think the character of the mother was in the movie? Like, was there much of a character there?
I mean, the most characterization we get from her is that she is upset when Ralphie swears and asks for guns, and she puts soap in his mouth. So, to be honest, I don't like her.
You didn't even hop on your soapbox about that yet.
I'll hop on my soapbox right now if you want me to.
Go for it.
Okay, my least favorite part of the entire movie, and probably even including the very short racist part, I think the worst part is when they put soap in the mouth and it's played up as a gag.
Why?
That's fucking child abuse, and it's not really funny, and they play it as if it's like, oh, I mean, they're saying that it's bad because, like, obviously he doesn't want to have soap in his mouth, but they're not, like, condemning it in any way, and they're kind of making a bit of a reference that it's like, this is justified because he swore. You know, like...
Maybe don't swear, Andrew.
One, kids should be allowed to swear.
I agree there.
If adults are allowed to swear at children, which they are, children should be allowed to swear at adults. So many parents that I
think you
knew,
should be allowed to swear at school, too.
It's words. It literally, it's words. Most of them don't even have that bad of a meaning. Obviously, there are slurs, which are different than swears. Yeah. That's a little bit of a different thing, but swearing and using slurs are not the same thing.
I knew kids in my school that would use slurs, but were like, oh, how dare you say the D word?
Yeah, it's like, okay, but you were over
here saying... But they'll openly say the F slur for gay people.
Yeah, well, honestly, that was like super common when I went to school.
Yes, me too.
But like swearing was still like, ooh, taboo.
Ooh, how dare you say the F word?
Yeah, but for one, like, that's not that bad, and two, putting soap in your kid's mouth is child abuse, and I don't think it's even safe. I feel like you could...
My parents did it to me.
That's not a good thing, man.
I turned out fine.
Tell your parents, and I'll tell them right now. You shouldn't have done that.
You know my dad's listening right now.
You shouldn't have done that. That's not good. Apologize to your kid. You shouldn't put soap in his mouth. Would you want him to put soap in your mouth? Is there any situation where you could think like, man, it would be justified if he put soap in my mouth? If you can think of a situation where it's justified that your kid puts soap in your mouth, then maybe it's okay to put soap in their mouth. But
can you think of a situation where it's justified for my son having to change my shitty diapers?
Yeah, I can actually. Adults wear diapers all the time. They're called adult diapers. And sometimes they need care, and children often give that care to their parents.
Well, that's what a mother does, Andrew, and I think this song is really good. Let's talk about You'll Shoot Your Eye Out.
I'm sure you're sick of my spiel, but bother overdue because you'll shoot your eye out. And though you gave it a real good try, I bet that you'd regret retina. Little bullet crack your retina. You'll shoot your eye out.
You'll shoot your eye out.
That's where the teacher sings at him.
Yeah, as a witch.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I think it's fine. I think I like the Ralphie to the Rescue fantasy sequence better.
I like this one because I like the tap. I specifically like the kid that tap dances.
Yeah, I mean, the dancing is fun. I thought you weren't a dance guy, though. Come on.
I'm not, but I love kids dancing, apparently, because this kid just tapping away. It's like, boop-a-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo, and I'm like, get it, kid!
There's not that much value in the song, though, but it is fine.
I like the lady that plays the teacher. Her specific dancing is pretty good, too.
Yeah, and I think they did a good job with all the costumes and stuff for the fantasy sequences. They look like they do in the movie.
Yeah, and the transformation, because they have to do really, really quick transitions between them. It's really good. I also really like the child chorus, like screaming the child, like the taunt. Yeah, shut your eye out. It just sounds nice to my ears. As dumb as that sounds, every time it's like clippity 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 clappity clip. Y'all shut your eye out. I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a fun song.
Yeah. All right. The last song I really want to talk about is A Christmas Story. They turned the title into a song, the final number.
Big closer.
Right. This year, we nearly went insane.
This year, we gave up stuffing for chow mein. What a Christmas story to behold. A crazy Christmas story to be told. We got a bird with no head, a pot full of tea.
What's to be said when you are here next to me?
Yeah. Who could want much more? Our Christmas story.
I'm not gonna lie, like, I was watching this kind of passively, like, oh, that's fun, I got a little choked up during this song, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I got that emotional about this song.
I don't know why. I think I just like Christmas, and I know you're not really a Christmas guy.
I'm not a huge fan of Christmas. It's a bit over commercialized. One thing I actually do want to mention with this show is I feel like because it's a musical, it almost kind of makes A Christmas Story like more whimsical and Christmassy than it actually is in the movie, which makes me like it a little less.
And I understand that, and I feel that way throughout. But still, when they're like got these melodies coming back and like the old man Ralphie singing with the young version of himself, I'm like, fuck, we're all gonna get old and die. Childhood doesn't last forever. We're just flesh. Like, I had an existential crisis. Thank you, A Christmas Story, the musical.
You know, and that's fine. That's good. I think it closes out the show nicely, and I don't think I want to watch this again.
I might... I don't think I'll actively search it out. Maybe we'll do a commentary on the Fox Live production next Christmas if we're really, really strapped for ideas.
There's got to be more Christmas stuff than that.
Well, Matthew Broderick, Andrew.
Oh, Matthew Broderick, why?
I mean, Matthew Broderick will say yes to anything.
Isn't that a line from something that he did? I can't even remember. Wasn't that in The Producers?
There is a fun Matthew Broderick Christmas story I want to bring up now that I'm thinking about it.
Okay,
so
what do you got?
Re-listening to How Did This Get Made, and they were telling stories of behind the scenes of the film Deck the Halls. Do you remember this? Where Matthew Broderick was up against Danny DeVito and who could decorate their house more or something.
Oh, yeah, honestly, that is, I remember Christmas with the Cranks. I don't remember that.
But one person who was like a script supervisor was walking around looking at the cast, and Matthew Broderick is just like facing his hands. He's like, well, this is rock bottom, end of career. It doesn't get lower than this. Danny DeVito, as soon as he's done with every shot, like he's like, I'm on a plane out of here. And Kristen Chenoweth is in a room like crying because her and Aaron Sorkin just got divorced.
Very nice story, Jess. Thank you so much.
But yeah, so Andrew, what is your overall thoughts on A Christmas Story, the musical, and your cheese rating?
Well, I like it okay enough, but I really feel like it does a bit of a disservice to the movie by making everything longer, which is something a lot of adaptations do, but also changing the tone to be a bit more Christmas friendly, whereas the movie honestly isn't as much. So I'm gonna have to give it like a not my fave dog.
Is that a cheese?
No, my cheese rating. What is a good Christmas cheese? My goodness.
Well, maybe you want a middling Christmas cheese since you're not really a big fan of this musical.
Yeah, I guess I don't want a great Christmas cheese. What do people have for Christmas cheese?
Cheesecake.
Oh, I don't like cheese. Actually, I guess, yeah, there you go. Cheesecake. Cheesecake! Yeah, we're gonna give it cheesecake. It's fine. It's honestly, it's fine. It's not bad.
It is
I don't know.
Pasek and Paul's best score, technically. That isn't much of a compliment. I just hate everything else they've done so much more.
Yeah, I mean, I guess compared to the rest of their work, I like this better than Dogfighter or Dear Evan Hansen.
Mm-hmm. Or La La Land?
Well, they did the lyrics to that, not the score, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm gonna say if you like Christmas Story a lot, maybe check it out. But honestly,
You know, I think, honestly, here's my suggestion. If you've never seen A Christmas Story, the movie, you might like this musical, to be honest.
yeah, I think if you have seen the movie, you've already seen a better version of the
Yeah.
story, so it's kind of hard to like recommend it.
It's hard to, like, unlearn what you've learned from that movie.
Okay, you know what? Here's what I'd say. If it's coming to your town and it's live on stage, maybe.
Yeah, that's...
And you don't have to buy a ticket.
You got a free ticket, yeah. Or if, like, your local high school is putting it on, like, I'd see it. Community theater's doing it, I'd go see it.
Yeah, but if it's on Fox and Matthew Broderick's in it and it's on television and you could just flip over to a different channel and watch the movie, probably just watch the movie.
I mean, that's a fair point. But I agree with most of what Andrew said. I say give it a shot. Maybe you'll like the cast recording. But if you see it live by like a community theater, I think you'd get a lot of enjoyment out of it. Not gonna lie, I don't think it's bad.
No, I think the score is fine and I think it tells the story in a passable way. It's just, you know, with this movie being so ubiquitous, it's like, why bother?
You can say the lines alongside with them. Is the thing.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
But my cheese rating is, there's this place called Mars Castle, that's Mars's Cheese Castle in Wisconsin.
Oh,
and
boy.
they have a leg lamp with the lamp heart shade made of cheese.
I was going to do something like that for mine, but I was like, I don't know if it deserves that, but, you know, I guess a leg lamp is a major award, so you must have really liked this show.
I guess so. But you know who definitely didn't like this show?
I don't know who didn't like the
Our
show.
wonderful patrons. Thank you guys for listening. Please follow us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher at Musicals with Cheese. We're on Twitter at Cheesy Musicals, Patreon Musicals with Cheese, Instagram Musicals with Cheese, YouTube page Musicals with Cheese. We have a Patreon-only podcast, Patreon with Cheese. Our musical theater lives at gmail.com is our email. Our transcriptions are by Masha Litvinova. She is wonderful. I love her to death. Our title card was created by Jolene Casco. Go follow her on Instagram at Jolene Casco. Our keeper of the cheese is Juliet Antonio. This show is produced by Brianna Jones. We love you very much, Brie. Good luck editing this. Thank you to the Broadway Podcast Network for having us on the platform and not taking us out to the firing squads as of yet.
Well, maybe by the time this airs.
We'll see. We'll see. Maybe we've been kicked onto the street again.
Put up against the wall and shot.
You'll shoot your eye out. All right.
You'll shoot your eye out.
We'll see you next time on our very Christmassy Christmas Eve episode. I think our Christmas Eve episode is next, Andrew.
Oh my God, Christmas Eve, we have an episode coming out?
Yeah, we do. Can you and you guys, it might be something more familiar than you'd expect. Bum 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 bum, December 24th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. From here on in, we shoot without a script. See if anything comes of it instead of our old shit. We'll see you next time on Musicals with Cheese. Merry Christmas, everybody.
A ho ho ho, bah humbug.
You'll shoot your eye out.